episode of PJ and the Beard. We're going to take a look at a pedal. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry. And for the second time with FFX pedals. Today we have the Doble Cabron in. The double carbon. It's the Doble Cabron. We had to look it up. There's two ram sets here. So a carbon is a ram. And Doble is double. So we have the box. And we also have the instructions manual, which I'm not going to throw on the floor this time because we may have to refer to that later. I'll put it there. But for the second time, inside the box, we have the bag and a big old boom over there. So we always joke that, we could just take it to market. We could be cool. It could be a messenger bag.
Somebody left a comment on the last video about the bags that give the bicyclists. I forget what the name of those is.
There you go. The messenger.
I had to look it up to know what he was talking about.
Yeah. So it's a really cool. It's a different swag. We've never had that before, and we may or may not have had chocolates in our other one, but there's no chocolates in this one. I dug in that box and no chocolates. But we're really happy to have this in. Yeah. It's the second offering that we're doing from them.
Yeah. So 2 overdrive pedals in one box, and who doesn't want to put 2 overdrive pedals on their board instead of one? So
to give you another stacking option.
Right. So this is cool. We got a low gain on one side. So the right side, Cabron 1, maybe if you want to call it, kind of a lower gain. Mm-hmm. And then on the left side, you have a higher gain setting. And then, you can turn them on and off individually. So you could have just one on, just 2 on, both on. And then there's a button in the middle that allows you to switch the order of stacking. So you could be going the low gain into the higher gain or vice versa, which is really cool. And so we're going to get into all that. Really, we just plugged it in and started playing some guitars through it to see what we thought. And I think started on the low gain side.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Start on the low gain side, and whenever trying something new, try to go to home base. And the Silver Sky SE, at least for the purposes of the channel, is kind of home base for me. I kind of know what I'm getting into. So I had the Silver Sky SE through the Doble Cabron into the Tyler and the Echo Tour, and again on the low gain side. And this is what I played.
So Pat's first clip had it going into the low gain side with single coils. So I grabbed the PRS DGT and thought, well, let's take it for a spin with humbuckers. And I think, ironically enough, didn't change a knob on it because it just sounded good plugging into it. One thing you'll notice both in Pat's clip and in this clip, we did play a lot with the volume knob. When Pat was playing around it at first, I was like, roll that volume back once, just let me hear it. And it cleaned up really nice with the Silver Sky. Same here, cleaned up really nice. You'll hear the neck pickup with it rolled back, and I bump it up a couple times and then hit it to the bridge pickup where it just screams. So here it is on the low gain side. So I like that sound a lot and thought, hey, let's do a jam. I want to use the setup for a jam. So in the jam, I'm still playing the DGT. I'm going in to the Doble Cabron into the DLS Echo Tour back to the Tyler. You're going to notice, I think I started on the low gain side and then I hit on the high gain side. And I think I have it set up, if I remember correctly, where it is actually the high gain into the low gain. Mm-hmm. I have to look. The little lights on. We'll talk more about that later. Right. But anyway, and then I think I turned, playing a lot with the different sides and the different pickups on this and rolling the volume knob, trying to give you kind of a full picture as best as I can on what's going on with that and how it interacts with the guitar. Backing that up.
Shockingly enough, Silver Sky SE into the MT-15 back behind me. And with our travel board, behind the tree. It's like secret hidden there. And on the pedal board at my feet here is the G-Lab dual reverb, which we've done an Echo episode on. Gee, it's shockingly enough an Echo Tour, and even more shocking, Barber Electronics direct drive, one of the OG ones. So when we played through this, found a couple different gears to support the lead playing over there.
Yeah, here's the first jam. So in that clip, there was a moment where I was stacking both sides, and so we thought we'd just take a minute and explore that, what that looks like. So here's a quick clip where you see the low gain side followed by the high gain side, and then we have them both on together, and then we hit that middle button, which flops or flips the order. So instead of going 1 into 2, it's now 2 into 1. And just a couple notes, maybe something you'll recognize to help you hear what that sounds like.
So now we want to look at the high gain side of this pedal. So I grabbed down the 2003 Heavenly Heavenly, that's actually a Freudian slip. Heavenly modified, I was going to say heavily, but heavenly modified by David Barber. Started it in the bridge pickup so you could hear just how tight and how crunchy it could get. And then I flipped it up to the neck, and then I kind of ended it with a little bit of single note stuff so you get a flavor of it. Here it is.
So for my high gain clip, it's weird, almost just like the single coil clip. I sat down like, I like the way you have it set up. It sounds great, and then went for it. I grabbed our SG Junior, which is a single coil, single P90. Man, it sounds great. It just sounded great, and I mean, it probably could have tweaked it some, but if you don't have to, and it sounds good to you, just play on. We've done some clips on the Jam. The obvious controls, both sides, both pedals, if you would, have a tone, a gain, and a volume knob on them. So that should be pretty self-explanatory to you. What might not be is both sides have two extra switches. One is a thick switch and one is a range switch. So if I read it to you really quick, let's take the thick switch for instance. Gives you access to two different pre-gain low cut settings. One is going to sound thicker than the other, giving you a fuller tone. The other one is going to sound tighter and adds more sparkle.
Which that's the one suggests you could possibly use going into an overdriven amp, which
Right.
we did not use an overdriven amp.
So
take some of the lows out.
Yeah, so let's do that really quick. Why don't you play and I'll
right.
hit both sides and flip that thick switch around for you. All right, so that's the thick switch. Let's look at the range switch. Changes the overall tonal character of the overdrive circuit. The setting on the left will decrease the mid-range and works well with a mid-heavy amp. It also decreases the volume to some extent. The right setting does the exact opposite. The Cabron 2 has a more dramatic setting on this control, the left side. And you can read that all day, but it just makes more sense to hear it. Let's flip the switch. So we'll do the same thing we just did with the thick switch.
All right. Yeah, definitely hear it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so, if you're running into a heavily overdriven amp, you might switch those settings for that. If you're playing, depending on the type of amp you're playing, depending on the type of guitar you're playing, you can use those to tailor your sound.
Mm-hmm.
We need to set up the final jam,
Right,
and then talk some final thoughts. So,
right.
I'll let you. You want to?
Well, I'm going to switch just because it's so pretty. It needs to be on camera. So the probably most underplayed guitar in the room, or one of them, the Beard's 335. Very beautiful. We'll just give you a second to take that all in. So I thought, well, let me just play something that kind of open, big natural sound. I tried to play both sides of the pedal. I tried to play different pickups. I tried to roll the tone back. I tried to kind of hit it with a lot. Played it with the Echo Tour into the Tyler. That's what I had going on.
Yeah, and I mean, same thing he did before over in the PRS MT22 with a G-Lab reverb pedal on and the Echo Tour. And I grabbed off the hidden wall.
That's right.
I grabbed
The La Traînée.
we haven't had, this has been seen on our channel a lot. It's one of the most viewed videos.
Yeah, it is.
Has the Tajima Woodstock guitar on. So I grabbed that down and took that for a spin. But before we get to that final jam, final thoughts on the pedal.
I think it was a great pedal. As in, most times I kind of maybe walk in and he's already playing it because they get sent here. And I thought it sounded really good. And the more we explored it, it was really easy to dial something up. First of all, it's a great looking pedal. I love the purple knobs. I love the purple like washer around the middle. And anytime you can look up a new word, I didn't know what a cabron was, but apparently it's a ram. And there's some other slang words that cabron is as well. I'll let you look those up on your own. And then we realized that it's double, but it's double. So we got to be all, sophisticated down here today. But I thought it was really great. I think it could find a use for both sides. Didn't find it hard to dial up at all. And real easy to use, I thought.
Yeah.
It worked really well in this setting. It's always like, how would it work in your rig? How would it work in one of the other two rigs we use or whatever? But real easy to dial in, great looking pedal, quiet.
It works with a lot of different guitars.
Right.
Like every guitar we plugged into it.
And there was a clarity. Let me just jump in there real quick. When you played, I'm pointing at the SG Junior over here. When you played that and played through those chords, even with the overdrive up pretty high, there was clarity in each one of those notes. Like it's a really nicely tuned pedal.
Yeah. So that first side reminds me of something like maybe a Timmy or a Lightspeed or where you can add, and we could, oh my gosh, we could do 100 more clips, right? We could start pulling that drive way back so it's just on there a little bit. But I think you can get those, dare I say it, transparent overdrive sounds out of that first side.
He said it.
Yeah. At least I didn't make a t-shirt about it.
Yeah.
Then you go over to the other side and you have, some more. But even, I gotta be careful, because even on the first side, cranked gain up, and I thought some of the lead tones coming out of that were really good too. Mm-hmm. So, bottom line, I would say really easy for me to get two sounds I would really like out of that. I think be able to match them so I could stack one into the other pretty easily too. And then the option of which way I want to stack them, because some people, I often think of lowest gain, medium gain, high gain when I put three gain pedals down. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of other people, in fact, I go low, medium, high, and then a boost. But there's a lot of people where the philosophy is highest gain first and then putting some of those lower gains after it. What's the guy on YouTube, the studio guitarist that sits in the big Tim Pierce? I think he does the high, starts with a high gain and goes down. Don't quote me on that though. Just, I think that's what he does. Anyway, bottom line, cool pedal.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thanks to Frank, right?
Yeah. Frank over at FFX pedals, check them out. And I think that's it. You ready for the Jam, we always just take a moment to say thanks for watching. Click the subscribe button, notification bell. Anytime you interact with the channel, that's why we get to make relationships with guys like Frank over at FFX Pedals and get cool stuff in to share with you. And I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.